5 murder victims who helped crack their own case. The justice system can be a bit tricky when it comes to convicting criminals for murder. Sometimes, cases stretch on for years without any evidence or clue that could lead to the culprit. Surprisingly, there have been a number of cases where the victims themselves have left clues with regards to their murder. They have been brave enough to fight the last minutes of their lives to point towards their killer. Some have supposedly come back from their graves to drop hints. We bring you 5 such unbelievable murder cases where the victim helped crack their own case. 5. Alexander Litvinenko. He worked with detectives to narrow down his murderers just before his death. Alexander was hospitalized as a case of poisoning by radioactive polonium-210. Working with Scotland Yard detectives as he lay dying, he traced his murder to a former comrade in the Russian Secret Service. The case is still open. In 2007, Britain Director of Public Prosecutions charged Lukavoy with the murder. Even after having enough evidence, Russian police refused to hand over Andrei and the other agent. Moreover, public inquiries have come to the conclusion that the Litvinenko murder was probably approved by President Putin. The case is still not closed. 4. Catherine Spirit allegedly whispered Baba into her mother's ear while her mother was holding the dead body. Her mother then forced the police to follow the lead passed on to her by her dead daughter. As it turned out, the accused person's fingerprint matched those found at the scene of the murder. He was sentenced to life in prison. The police asked around the neighborhood and found out that Catherine had a neighbor, Ryan J. Biscara, who goes by the name of Baba. They located his house, but he was nowhere to be found. But 3 days after the murder, the suspect aunt gave his location to the police and he was arrested. Ryan recounted how he committed the murder. He was found guilty and sentenced to prison. He is currently detained at the New Bilibid prison. 3. Russ Stager audio tapes helped convict his wife of his murder. Russ' death was ruled out as an accidental shooting. But Russ Stager tape recorded himself prior to his death sounding fearful for his life, asking questions like, "Why if I was asleep at 4:30 in the morning would Barbara wake me up to give me sleeping pills?" But months after his death, a student discovered a tape in a locker at the school where Russ worked. The tape, which he made 3 days before he died, revealed Russ was worried about his wife waking him up in the middle of the night and trying to feed him pills. Barbara was found guilty after an investigation for not only the murder of Russ but also her first husband. She was sentenced to death. 2. A Google employee solves her own murder from beyond the grave as DNA from her nails led police directly to the killer. She fought back against her killer who sexually assaulted her before murdering her. Vanessa Marcotte was an up-and-coming accounts manager at Google in Silicon Valley. 8 months after the brutal killing, DNA samples from her nails and hands provided a match with the prime suspect, Angel Ortiz. Angel was arrested and charged with aggravated battery, aggravated assault, and assault with intent to rape and murder. 1. Simon Ng last blog post helped solve his own murder. Simon blogged that his sister's ex-boyfriend was at the house downstairs and was getting agitated. He and his sister were later found dead in his apartment. Although the accused initially denied any wrongdoing, he confessed once the police found Simon's blog. Simon Ng was a blogger who wrote about self-improvement. He was a lonely immigrant from Hong Kong living in New York. His parents moved back to Hong Kong and left Simon and his sister alone in their Queens apartment. In 2008, Jinmin was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Please do subscribe, like and share this video with your friends and family. Also turn on the notifications to stay tuned to our daily new contents.